The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
And welcome to a very special Merry Christmas edition of The Gloves Are Off. Moses Wildu is off. I'm your host, Nahreman Issa, and I have a couple of other people with me. Now you'll notice we're all wearing our festive Christmas sweaters today. Amanda Carlton, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Women's assistant, or Rustlers, I should say, like Lakeland Rustlers women's basketball assistant coach. You used to play with them, and now you're giving back by being able to yell at them at the side. Is that basically how it works?
Yeah, you know, it's fun to be on the other side and not having to run every day. So It's been fun that way.
And your guys' team has been ridiculous so far, 12-0 heading into the Christmas break.
Yeah, we ended off on a good streak there. So hopefully, you know, the girls get lost to rest and they come back in another week. So get ready for the second season.
Of course, lots going on. And of course, everyone knows this. Look at Rudolph over here.
This
Very
might be the
festive.
happiest I've probably ever been, and Moses isn't here.
Yeah, Andrew Brethauer, the sports editor, Lloydminster Source. All right, let's get started. And of course, the biggest story when it comes to local sports right now, the Lloydminster Bobcats. They finished off 2015, a 6-game road trip, broken up, but let's just say 3 straight for the first half they lost. We talked with the coaches and we were just saying, like, they need to win at least 2 of 3 on that southern road swing down south. And of course, they were playing the Calgary Mustangs, who lost 29 in a row. I want to know, with the Bobcats, if they lost 6 in a row, how bad would that have been for their season? They managed to get 3 wins, but that would have been, you know, the 3-game losing streak that would have turned into 6, that would have broke the camel's back?
I don't think it would have broke it. It was just been not a great way of going into a break and then trying to set up that second half. Because if you look at the North Division, everyone's so close. It's anyone's race, and that's a good thing and a bad thing for a team that needs playoff experience like the Bobcats are going to need. But you take away 6 points, and suddenly they go from being second, third, now down to 4th, 5th, and that's not where anybody expected the Bobcats to be at this time of year. I don't know if that's really 3 games would have made it a big difference. I think maybe, if anything, it gave them the confidence they need, because they've clearly been lacking that over November, December. A lot of guys are obviously worried about getting traded, so it kind of gave them that little jolt they need. Now they'll come back hopefully in the new year and still have to weather a couple games before the trade deadline. But
what about the psyche of the team, though? Let's just say, because the scariest one would have been the Calgary Mustangs, because let's just say they did not win on Friday. That would have been a 30-game losing streak. And let's just say they went in and the Bobcats are already feeling a little on edge right now. Imagine they lost to the team that lost 30 in a row. You being a coach on this, how do you kind of deal with a roster? Let's just say right now the Bobcats, they're nervous. They know that trade deadline's coming up. They know this team has been so busy when it's come to trades this season. How do you kind of deal with a roster that's injury-riddled, tired, and a little nervous?
Yeah, injuries are so tough because it's something you really can't control as a coach or a player. So I think really it's just adapting to every day that's for the game. So just adapting to changing different plays or roster, you know, who's going in and out of the game. And it just gives players a good opportunity to be able to step up and prove their spot on the team.
So as a player, these Christmas breaks have always kind of been welcomed, eh?
Yeah. No, and they had good momentum. Like you said, if they would have lost that, like, it would have definitely put an end to that momentum. So glad they got the win and can carry forward.
Well, talking about momentum, we could talk about Schultz. Of course, Justin Schultz, Edmonton Oilers defenseman. This has not been a good season for him, and fans have started to turn against him. Columnists, you know, journalists, people are all starting to kind of talk. This is a guy who, a few years ago, Craig McTavish at the time said that, hey, he is a Norris Trophy candidate. His seasons have not been what they should have been. The numbers he kind of posted in the AJHL. Yesterday, he got his very first goal of the season. We're well into December, and he's supposed to be an offensive defenseman, but do you feel like maybe his time in Edmonton is done? Is his floundering? Is it time for the Oilers to cut their losses? He's not the offensive defenseman they thought they were going to be getting from him. Do you feel like Edmonton should cut their losses?
I would say so. He doesn't have much confidence at all. Even in his interviews, he's trying to find confidence. It's pretty hard to have confidence as a teammate or as a coach in somebody if they don't have confidence in themselves.
He's a straight up bust. That's all he is. Like, that's what he came in. And then look at him as well. He's played on really bad teams. So you're a young guy who's come in and trying to be the savior blue liner, which is what he came in to be, that offensive and defensive blue liner that the Oilers needed, and clearly wasn't ready, wasn't capable of putting that much on his shoulders. His plus minus is horrendous. And then you have to put also on top of that the ability to score. It's just the scenario in Edmonton just wasn't great, that they had no defenseman to help him, and now you're trying to bring a fresh young blue liner out of college into this kind of game. There needs to be a better transition. He did great in the AHL, but it's still a totally different game. So at this point, cut your losses. You know, everyone, and you gotta think, it's not like the Oilers made a mistake. Everyone in the NHL wanted this guy.
Yeah.
So someone around the line would have made a mistake.
Well, just kind of the biggest fear would be you see a lot of, especially defensemen, but a lot of players from Edmonton that do find a change of scenery, and they seem to excel. So we're going to move to another hockey player. This one is Bad Burrows, and of course, if you haven't heard, Patrick O'Sullivan, a former NHL player, he came out, said that, you know, he was abused at the hands of his father, has a book out, some horrendous stuff that he was saying. And then he dropped this little bombshell that Alex Burrows of the Vancouver Canucks would use that against him twice during a game in juniors, and once while they were playing in the NHL, talking about the abuse his father did to him and basically mocked him. Now, he issued an apology. It was a very lame apology, I will say. But do you feel like maybe the league should have done something? Do you feel like this is just maybe publicly he got humiliated? Alex Burrows, a lot of people weren't happy, but do you feel like maybe the league should have done something about that?
I don't think the league can. Chirping in sports is always going to happen, and there's that fine line about what topics are okay. You don't talk about children, and generally wives and girlfriends usually offline. But something like that, it's Alex Burrows. You got to remember this too. It's not like he's the epitome of, you know, respect in hockey. So I don't think the NHL, there's nothing you can do. There's so much stuff being said on the ice. If you're going to slap him, you're probably going to have to slap every other guy who's chirping as well.
Do you feel like maybe even the Canucks should have set an example going, you know, that's unacceptable? Like, it's true, though. There's a lot of things you can say. Some people might find some things more offensive than others, but for something like that?
Yeah, I mean, he definitely crossed the line with the remarks that he made. It definitely was personal. And then also, like, he is a role model for kids, so I think, you know, he needs to make the apology himself instead of through media and social media, like, actually make a phone call and apologize, you know, for the comments. Because it was harsh, like, but like Andrew said, like, there's trash talk, but you don't mess with talking about family.
What's the best thing you've ever said to someone?
Actually, I never talked on the court.
Yeah.
No.
We'll leave the trash talk to Cameo. She's really good at that. All right, we're just going to take a quick break. We'll be back after this commercial break.